All right, we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Just wait for our featured artist to arrive, and then we can get going. Awesome. There we go. So we should be live. Well, we are live, but we should be together very soon.
That work? Can you hear me?
I can absolutely hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. What do you know?
Fantastic. Would you know? Would you look at it? We're two dudes with total technology boomer energy, and we made this shit happen.
Boomer, yeah. Well, I'll go with boomer. Sure, we'll say I'm that young.
So, how are you this fine afternoon?
I am much better now that I am talking to poets and creators because I'm really tired of the rest of the world.
Yeah, I absolutely feel that. It's definitely an oasis from all of the bullshit.
Oh, but if it weren't for all that, what would we have to write about, right? Love and
Yeah,
peace and flowers.
that's true. Conflict and division and strife and all that is definitely fuel for the fire.
Yes, it is. How are you doing today, sir?
I am fantastic. Great to be here with you. I'll just do a little bit of introduction. For those watching at home, welcome to the Poetry Kingdom Instagram for our very first live feature artist interview. We are very excited to have the man with many names promoting his new book, 2020 Division. Here are all the various names. We got Changeling Studio on YouTube, Changeling Studios 420 on Instagram. We got Propaganda Poet, which is the name on this wonderful collection of poetry. And as I know you, and as a lot of us know you around the poetry community, the energetic and charming Beowulf.
You are too kind, sir. You are too kind.
You are definitely worth it, my good man.
I appreciate that. So yeah, the whole name thing. So Changeling Studios is like the umbrella company, I guess, is how you would look at it. Changeling Studios is where I produce all of my various things. Propaganda Poet is my poetry performance persona. Oso Lobo is my musician performance. And I do have another one that has actually taken a back seat recently because I've been working on so many of these projects. Bard Wannabe, which you may be tempted to pronounce that Juan Abbey, but you would be incorrect as you would be missing the ever important, the ever proud whoosh. So Bard Wannabe, for those of you who know what the SCA is, the Society for Creative Anachronisms, I'm kind of like adjacent SCA. So they call it Bardcore, I guess, is what they call it. And I basically just take modern songs and turn them into medieval bardic,
Oh wow,
So
that is really cool. That is really fascinating. I've never heard of that before.
maybe I'll throw one of those at you at some point today.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think my personal first introduction with you, obviously, you've been on the Facebook Poetry Kingdom page for quite some time, and I think the first time you
Shout
were
out
brought,
to Christopher Scooby for bringing me into this fold and being the one who opened the doors to all of this amazing online poetry scene. So much love, GFY, to Scooby. Thank you for bringing me into the fold, sir.
yeah, that's awesome. He definitely got me into the spoken word shit as well, specifically. I'd never
Nice.
done that before.
Sweet. See there, man. That dude, Chris. He's a pretty amazing dude, man. One of these days, I might meet him in person, even because, like, I think we live like 50 miles away from each other or some shit. So,
That's not too far.
opening up, me and him should probably get together one of those days.
I think, I think I always loved we have at the Poetry Kingdom this thing called Majestic Mic Performance, which is spoken word, and yours was absolutely fantastic. I remember you had not only your poetry, but you had bongos and guitar and music and the whole 9 yards, and it was absolutely mind-blowing to me. It was the wildest thing I'd ever seen on anybody else's performance.
Thank you. I appreciate that. To be fair, I've been on stage since I was like 6 years old. So
oh, wow.
It's kind of part of who I am.
So you're just a natural pro at it at this point.
Well, mostly it's just like I can't help but emote all over the place. And the stage is really the only place that's acceptable. Because I've learned in a job interview, that's not the place to emote. And,
yeah, definitely.
One of the poems that I'll read today, I'll tell you the story about that one. I don't know. Still waiting to hear back whether or not I got that job. But
fingers crossed for you.
We'll see.
I always hate job interviews. It's kind of this really fake experience.
Yeah, that's the thing about I think one of the reasons why I'm a natural at the whole performance thing, like that's who I actually am, you know? Like the rest of everything I do, that's the fucking show, that's the play, that's the role, you know?
Yeah.
And when I'm on stage, that's when I am truly myself. And I think that's why it seems so natural, because it's just me being me, you know?
Right.
So it's like I was in a theater production of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, wow.
When I was in California, and I got the amazing opportunity to play R.P. McMurphy, which for those of you who don't know is the Jack Nicholson role. And I really just played myself, and it was pretty awesome. Like, and I got an award for it, and like I got to run around in front of my students in my boxers saying "fuck this" and "fuck that," and then I got praised for it afterwards. You know, and I felt when I won the award, I just told them I felt that it was kind of unfair because I really was just playing myself. You know, it's
that's wow, that's what an awesome role to be able to perform and to be able to sink your teeth into.
It was so much fun. But the moral of that story is just that that's who I am. So, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing when you're doing something that just ties into who you are. It just all flows completely naturally.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, sometimes there's a little lag, and it's always a little bit awkward there.
No.
So what would you like to tell the people about yourself, your cultural foundations, your spiritual, your philosophy, whatever you want to tell the people about yourself?
It took me 40 years to learn life's most important lesson. Fuck what you're supposed to do. Do what you want to do. This is, like I said, I've been on stage since I was 6. This is who I am. This is what I want to do. And then somewhere along the line, I was like, well, I should probably get a degree and have a backup plan just in case. And, you know, I got a master's degree and I was teaching college and that was all bullshit. And now here I am at a point where I still can't pay the bill. The whole point of Plan B was so I could pay the bills. Well, I couldn't fucking pay the bills as a teacher. So I'm going to go back to not paying the bills as a performer because that's what I should have been doing this whole fucking time. So the most important thing I can impart on anyone is just do what you want to do, man. And if that means, you know, unfortunately in America, we don't have the luxury of the rest of the world where we don't have to worry about healthcare. Because therein lies like the biggest part of the whole healthcare bullshit thing that people don't want to talk about. It's about profits, blah blah blah. But the freedom that you have when you don't have to worry about medical shit is amazing. I can live on $12.50 an hour if I don't have to worry about medical shit.
Right.
Like, it's amazing, you know? And so, just plan, you know, and really, if you're living in America, do your best to stay at the poverty level and get on Medicaid, and then just do what you want, you know? That's my suggestion.
Sage advice. Yeah, it's
just be yourself, man. Just find a way to pay your bills, whatever, but live the life you want to live, man. Don't live the life you think that you're supposed to live.
Life is,
unless of course you're like, you know, killing cats and shit. Then we're gonna fucking have a problem.
Yeah, that you might want to examine yourself if that's your passion.
Yeah, we're gonna draw some lines here.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's right. Yeah, we're gonna have some, you know, very limited boundaries. You know, mostly just, you know, be free and wild, but you know, some boundaries, and definitely be good to cats.
Don't kill animals, and only kill the people that deserve it. But that's no, right. Don't kill people. Just kidding. Internet, don't sue me. I didn't tell anyone to kill anyone. It's a joke. It's funny comedy material, Mom.
It's all on Minecraft. So to any federal agents that may be watching, you know, it's just Minecraft.
And I'm not specifically staying on welfare and like staying poor. I'm actually applying for jobs. I just want to point that out too. Okay. So.
Absolutely. And so you've said, and there's the proof. So you can bring this video out and say, hey, I got an interview.
Right on. Nice. I don't know. Just here's some real shit, I guess. Like a year ago, I wanted to kill myself, you know, and now here I am publishing books and putting out CDs. And the reason for that is because of the Poetry Kingdom and, you know, Scooby and all of the online creative arts communities that are out there that have become the greatest support group ever. And never, if I can impart one thing on people, never ever underestimate the power of your art, and never ever underestimate the power of community, because the ripples that you create go to places that you just can't even imagine. So I guess that's probably the most sagely thing I can say.
That is extremely powerful and quite the turnaround.
And Wednesday Night Poetry. Yes, thank you, Scooby. Wednesday Night Poetry. Kai Kagan, one of the most amazing individuals in the fucking world. Like, if you do not know about this, check out Kai, Kai Kagan, and Wednesday Night Poetry. Blow your fucking mind. And in fact, if I want to get the word out, I have my first for real live feature at her venue in Hot Springs, Arkansas in August. And on that trip, I'm going to be going through St. Louis. And then once I get there, I'll be close enough to either go west towards Oklahoma City or east towards Nashville. So if anybody out there knows of places I should hit up to try and get shows while I'm on the road, I'm going to be on my motorcycle, and I'm basically just going to try and sell books and CDs and pay for the trip. So, but yeah, Wednesday Night Poetry. Thank you for reminding me of that. Excuse me.
That is a wild adventure, touring the country. That is amazing. When did that whole journey start?
So I was on this journey like 20 years ago, and then I got sidetracked by a career, which didn't fucking pan out anyway, because I made the mistake of being myself, and fought for social justice in places that I shouldn't have, in a community college. which didn't make sense to me really, but
Right.
whatever. Um, but so I've done this before. I actually I was in Toronto I did shows in Toronto back in when that had to be like early 2000, I think. I did a little mini tour through Minneapolis, up into Canada, up through Toronto, and it was a cool little story. So as I'm driving through, the CD player in my car died. So I'm like, shit, what do I do? And I got to listen to radio. So I was listening to Canadian NPR, and because they had this retrospective on John Lennon, I guess it was like 20th anniversary of maybe 10th anniversary, I can't remember, or his birthday or something, I don't know. But they were doing this retrospective on John Lennon. I'm like, okay, cool, sweet. So I'll listen to that. And then when that was over, they had this program that was talking about like the local music and art scene in Toronto.
Right.
And they were going over some like shows that were coming, and then like, and up from the States we have Bear Wolf, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like, holy shit. And the funny thing is, I never would have heard this if my CD player hadn't died. So the universe was like, man, you need to hear this. And then it got even better. They were like, yeah, he's coming up from the States, da-da-da. He's going to be at this place, at this place, at this place. Check him out. We got a hold of his CD, so we're going to go ahead and play a track off of it. And I'm like, I'm on fucking Canadian NPR. This is fucking awesome. So while they were playing, I called him real quick, because I'm like, well, why not? And to say thank you. And they were like, oh, well, what are you doing right now? Can we put you on the radio? I'm like, okay. So I had this like impromptu live interview. Like, it was the coolest thing in the world. But so I did shows there. I toured the East Coast. I was with a group called Poetic Justice League for America. This is all you can see them on my YouTube channel, Changeling Studios on YouTube. You can see some of the projects I've done over the last 20, 30 years. But Poetic Justice League, we did like an East Coast swing. So this is what I should have been doing all along, but I was doing it in bits and pieces. And that's actually the reason that I'm doing books and CDs, and I'm working on another book and another CD or two right now, is because within the next couple of years, I plan on selling my collectibles that I've held on to for just this reason. And I'm going to buy a house on wheels and live out the rest of my life traveling and performing.
Oh,
that's
shit.
what I should be doing, man. So
that is it. That sounds like an awesome plan. That is fantastic.
So anyone out there, if you know venues in various places, please let me know, because I want to start booking some shit.
Hit this man up.
And I'm doing it all by myself. Like, I'm not getting an agent. I'm not getting a publisher. Because again, I played that game, and they want to change you. They want to be like, well, can you do it this way? It's like, no, man, I want to do it this way. And if the only way I can do it this way is to do it my way, then that's the way I'm going to fucking do it. And if that means that I don't get worldwide distribution and I don't get that's whatever, man. Like, that was the life I wanted when I was 20. I wanted to be a rock star. So now I'm going to be a rock star just in my own mind, I guess. So.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about and in this day and age too, it's easier now than ever to be, independent with the internet and technology, and being able to just promote yourself without any strings attached.
And that is one thing. I am not a technology person, but I will say that when it is very useful when necessary. So.
It absolutely is. I've gone through stages. Of course, when you're younger, you're all hype and hip and onto that stuff, and then you get older and it's like, oh, I just don't have the energy to keep up anymore. But then it is super useful. So you do kind of have to like do your best with your limited capacities to be able to keep up with it.
Well, it's their whole planned obsolescence bullshit that's the problem. They make something that works, and then they're like, okay, well, we need to change this because we're not selling enough shit. So we need to update this and change it so we can sell more shit. And it's like, fuck you, man. It worked, and it worked well. And let's not make it user friendly, because if it's user friendly, then don't even get me started. That'll be an entirely different conversation. So, the Iacocca fucked the entire world up. So that's all I can say.
Absolutely. So what is your history specifically with poetry? How did you get started with it? How did you find out about it? How long have you been writing?
Well, technically, I started listening to poetry and music and writing when I was like 5, maybe. I was able to read very early, and I was able to, like, I mean, they were little, like, tiny little stories about like a monster coming out of the sun.
Sure,
like,
sure.
But like, it's been a part of me. It's been ingrained in me. Like I said, I've been on stage. I wrote in second grade. So what is that? You're 7 in second grade?
I think so.
The assignment was, we were doing poetry. That was the first time that in a school setting, where poetry was what the subject was. And we were supposed to bring in a poem. And I misunderstood. I thought we were supposed to write a poem and bring it in. So everyone else brought in, poems, song lyrics, whatnot. And I brought in this poem and read it. And the teacher was like, oh, well, and who's that from? I was like, well, I wrote it. I thought that was the assignment. And she was like, it was a poem about colors. And I don't even remember the poem anymore. And we won't get into family issues, but my mother threw all my shit out. And like the book I wrote when I was 5 and so anyway. But because, I had moved out and she was bitter that my shit was still there. I don't know. But anyway, it's cool though. Like it took me 40 years to train her, but she's a much better person now. So anyway, and like my second grade teacher just like freaked out over this poem, and like framed it and hung it up on the wall, and like, and I was just, and being that I was growing up in situations where I was not getting not much, if any, positive attention from adults. When I got that, I was like, oh, well, what is this about? So all of a sudden I became really good at school and really good at, because I was getting positive reinforcement from adults, which was a brand new thing for me. Like, so that kind of fed it. And then from there, I knew music saved my life. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure I'm speaking to the choir out here. Music saved my life. Slamming the door and blasting the music was the only respite I had from a pretty horrible situation. And so I had like, I'm going to go ahead and date myself here. Speaking of, technology, me and my Fisher Price record player when I was a kid, I did all these 45s. It was like a little corner store where I got comic books and 45s and things like. It was a drugstore, but it also had all this stuff too. It was because back in the olden days, that's how they did shit, And so with between those comic books and those 45s, it was like I was destined to just write. And so then I started writing songs, really bad songs, when I was in like junior high. I actually have a recording of some of them in high school, and they're really bad. The fun part is, though, the guy that I played guitar with went on to play with Further. He replaced Jerry Garcia, essentially.
Oh, wow.
He's amazing. Like, that dude's fucking amazing. But I have recordings of him playing really bad 80s hair music, which is hilarious. And then when I got into high school, in junior high, I had the drama teacher, again, like freaked out over me. Like I did an audition and she was like, oh my God, this kid's a natural. Like told my mom, like I should go to Juilliard, all this shit, da, 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 da. And I started playing drums when I was like 5, but not really. But for real, like when I was probably 12, my buddy's dad had a drum set and I started playing it. And they were like, well, why don't you just take it? We're not using it anyway. And, I'm like, cool. So I was playing, I wanted to play guitar, but I wasn't really that good at it. But drums, I was a natural. I just picked it up. So I started doing that, started writing songs. In high school, with that guitarist, we won Battle of the Bands. And then, so it just kind of progressed from there. But then in high school, I had these teachers who were all of a sudden telling me, oh, what you do isn't poetry. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I went to college, and I did various things. I was a math major for a while. I was a psychology major for a while. I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do. But I was always taking lit and writing classes just because that's what I enjoyed doing. So eventually I kind of just backdoored my way into an English degree. But I had a couple of teachers who were just were shitty to me and were not teachers, But then I had, and we all have this story. I hope we all have this story. We had that one or two teachers who just said, believed in you and helped you believe in yourself. And so in college, I had that teacher, John Bradley. He was amazing. And it was because of him that I went on to grad school and I got my master's degree in creative writing. And this is actually the first book I ever wrote. This is my master's thesis, but it's just poetry and short stories. And maybe I'll read something out of there. We should probably start doing some poetry at some point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Once you're done with this thought, we'll get into that.
We'll do that. And and he was the first person to really be like, because what I was doing wasn't what everyone else was doing, and he was the first one to see that to see what my potential was in that and nurture it. And so then when I went on to my master's school, I had someone there introduce me to Poetry Slam. And then that was it. It was over. I was like, this is it. This is what I have been doing all along, that teachers have been telling me, oh, what you do is in poetry. And I'm like, this right here. And I fell into that world hard and fast. And in the meantime, I was playing drums in various bands, from metal to punk to funk to whatever. I started picking up guitar again, started playing that. Even though I wasn't that good at it, I just kept doing it and kept doing it. So eventually I ended up in Southern California and hit the ground running, man. I was on the San Diego Slam team 2 years in a row. I was a runner-up on the LA Slam team. I was a runner-up on the Orange County Slam team. I'd made a couple CDs. The sixth and final season of Def Poetry Jam, half the people on there were people I did poetry with. And I actually was going to be auditioning for it, and then family shit, and now I'm stuck in the Midwest again. Won't get into all that. But that's basically poetry and music is where life has tried to take me my entire life. And I'm just fully embracing that now. Even if I don't have anyone else doing it with me, I'm still going to do something. So,
yeah, you have to. It's pointless to fight that kind of thing. But we do it too often.
So I'll give you some poems. How about that?
Absolutely, yeah.
We'll do some poetry. So I'm going to start out with this piece. This was the piece that got me some attention. That was going to get me, that got me the audition on HBO Def Poetry Jam. And I do this in dedication to all of you who continue to support the arts and continue to be part of this to create this better world, because the world needs to be a better place. It really does. So this is dedicated to all of you. I wish I could tell y'all to step off because I'm about to burn you with the friction in my diction, but recently I've made a decision based solely on gut feeling, and it's still got my heart, mind, and body reeling, so I've been hitting this wall, and this writer's block shit has got me feeling small because I'm supposed to be able to smith my words and craft my style because there for a while I thought that I needed to be heard, but maybe I just needed to hear myself think. So I should gather my thoughts like a gathering of nations without the hesitation of a society of convenience where everything is supposed to save our time, but nothing ever seems to get done. So run, rat, run, because that's how things are done these days. Push through the maze, push through the haze, learn to breathe through the graves, learn to see through the days of this 8-day-a-week overtime craze, or learn to become nothing but suicide slaves. In the land of the supersized and the home of the slum, there ain't no time to grow old because you ain't even allowed to be young. Well, I intend to fight fire with a sharply honed tongue, but poetry is more than poet me. It's poet you and poet true. Having the courage to turn this soapbox into a platform so that we can shine the light through the shitstorm of the norm because enlightenment has found that this shit just ain't normal. But my rights are being blocked like the decaying bridge to true freedom, just waiting to collapse under our train of thoughts because they're trying to train our thoughts by taking away from our schools music, theater, and art. But I sure can't fill in a bubble with a number 2 pencil. Just another stencil marking the way for marketing status quo. Now, I don't know where any of this is going to go because lately my flow has been hitting a wall, and this wall stands tall, like the one that leaves people stranded in religion shopping malls instead of just kicking it in the halls of karma where good deeds actually still mean something. Instead of just being a list of things to do to get your soul through in hopes that someday you might get to earn those wings, but there's something that we can't quite grasp, and we have been trained to be afraid to ask because they don't want us to know that we were all born with these wings and the ability to sing. No, they'd rather have us kissing some asshole's ringleader of a kiddie porno ring, and they'd say that he's closest to God. Well, what's it going to take for us to recognize that all we got to do is drop all this shopping and step out the door? Stop talking when we pray. Learn to listen some more. But alas, this too shall pass, so I guess I'm just going to kick back and smoke some more hash and try to pass through these bricks of ego and this mortar of fear because I didn't come here to slam. I came here to hear. So I'm going to go ahead and sit down and shut up because it's my turn to stop banging my head against this wall. I'm sick of feeling small. You see, I came here tonight to unblock my rights by listening to you all.
Damn.
And that is exactly how I feel when I listen to you guys do your stuff and I read your poems. And, like, it's the thing that a lot of people, especially in the slam world, dude, like, people forget that this is much bigger than us. Mm-hmm. We have been given these talents. We've been given these abilities for a reason. And people forget that. And people forget to listen. So that was part of why I did that. So there you go. So another poem I'll do. I know we're supposed to be talking about I got a book. It's on Amazon. It's a book.
We'll get into it.
I also have a CD that I just dropped. The CD is on Bandcamp. If you do a search on Bandcamp for Propaganda Poet, one word, Propaganda Poet, it should come up. It's called Haiku Senryu, Haiku Tanka and Senryu. Oh my. And it's some electronica beats with my I'll read some of those pieces in a minute. But this one is also on the CD, but this one's newer than the book. 8 of the tracks are poems from the book, and 2 of the tracks are one super old, one super new. This is the one I had a couple weeks ago, last week. I had an interview for a job to teach humanities for a summer program for Upward Bound. And one of the questions they asked was how I feel about critical race theory. So this was my response. And again, this is what I mean about, like, job interview, maybe not the best place to be yourself, but you know what? If you're going to ask me that question, Taylor Mali, one of the greatest spoken word artists in the world, said in one of his poems, and I love this line, there's something, and I wish you wouldn't have asked that because I have a rule about the truth and ass kicking. If you ask for it, then I must give it to you. So the question was, what do you feel about critical race theory? So I wrote a poem. Will the real higher education please stand up? You see, they're hoarding knowledge in college and selling it to the highest bidder. This is the bitter truth. And it's cutting off the youth to any possibility of doing anything other than just scraping to survive, preventing the possibility of actually living until they die. And this is all by design. The system is full of it. All these red flags that say if you don't play our way, then good luck ever having a say in how this all goes down the drain. I grow ever so tired of trying to explain how this pain is created so that the architect's insatiable need to feed all 7 of their own deadly sins can be sated with all the hatred that they created, while they scream about it all just being fake or trying to convince us all that it's just innate and that we're all just ingrates who don't know how to appreciate. Well, I'm here to thank you all for teaching me something real, that it's never too late. We can unlock all the knowledge we want, and it can all be for free. They don't have the only key. No, street knowledge and spoken word college are always in session, where we can learn the most important lessons. In our collective poetry slam sessions, where we can manifest all the best inventions with very real intentions of teaching and learning from each other, every sister and every brother, so that we can figure this shit out and somehow find a way to all move forward together.
Damn.
Well, I don't know if I got the job or not, but I got a fucking awesome poem out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with it.
Well, that really is the most important thing. And that was fucking fire. I mean, not only like the piece, is so fucking deep and true and relevant to everything that's fucking happening today, but the fucking performance was just fucking incredible. Love the fucking intensity and the rhythm of it.
And that some more advice I will throw out to people out there. That intensity and that fire, that comes from the fucking anxiety of having to do this shit in front of people. And what you do is when you get that you just take it and you go, bah! And you give it to, and then all of a sudden, now you're a performer. See how that goes? It's the best therapy, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta use all the various energies to just fucking explode like a supernova.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have questions? Do any of the people listen, like if you have questions, you can put them in the comments, right? Like people have questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if this is an interview, I suppose some questions would be valid. I shouldn't just talk everything.
I do have some questions. So I've noticed in your work, especially in the book, which you should all go and buy on Amazon at all the various and sundry Amazons. I got mine through Amazon.ca here in the far north, where it's still too fucking warm. But go and buy it. It's fantastic. There's so many different styles here. Like forms, you got tankas, you got haikus, but then you have stuff like, which I thought this was fucking incredible. You also have like some long form stuff like A Letter to America, My Hot Mess, Dream Girl. Like, talk to me about how in the bloody hell did you choose which pieces were going to go in this collection?
Well, this is all stuff that I wrote in the last year and a half because of you all. Like, it started out as just me dealing with the fucking 2020 mess that we all are and we all were. And then, you know, I hit up Wednesday Night Poetry because I will say this about academia. It does open some pretty amazing doors as well. So, like, It's not all bad. And and that's the thing. I know I get on shit a lot, but it's not all bad, man. Like, so as an educator and creative writing, not that I ever get to actually teach creative writing because that's not how adjunct teaching works. But I got just a random email one day about this poetry retreat thing that they were doing in Chicago for educators who taught poetry, who taught either reading poetry, writing poetry, et cetera, et cetera. And like Naomi Shihab Nye was there, and like some other pretty amazing people. And that's where I met Kai Kagan, who then hit me up when the Wednesday Night Poetry went online so I could be part of that. And then that's where I met Scooby, who then introduced me to all you guys. And so it just got bigger and bigger. Then I ended up hitting up the New Eurekan online thing, and that's become my poetry family. And just all of this stuff is, it's amazing. So what happened was when I answered that, I met Kai, and then I hit up that. And so now me dealing with, first of all, I was already in a bad place when 2020 started because shit, like I said, this is what I was doing 20 years ago, and I got sidetracked and things, so many things. Just to give you one example, the house that I lived in is now literally just an empty plot of land. It was condemned and torn down. Like so I lost everything, dude. I lost my relationship. I lost my career. I lost my house. I lost my cats. Like it was, but then I found all of you and all of this. And that is where this came from. And that the piece that you are talking about in particular is actually, so when I was teaching various classes. One of the classes I taught was English 104, which is critical thinking and research writing, basically. Okay. And the final research paper that we did in that class was, the assignment was, is America a melting pot, a salad bowl, or something else entirely? And the whole point of it was to get you to write your own metaphor of what America was. And so I was always using this, an example. My example would be America would be my dream girl, because she's everything I thought I ever wanted from afar. But once I get to know her, I start learning all these things about her that I did not realize seeing her from a distance, And I knew that last spring of 2020 was my last like I knew I had to move on to something else. Teaching just wasn't working. So I took it upon myself. So I was like, you know what? I keep joking about how I'm going to write this paper. Well, now I'm actually going to write it. And then it was nice because since everything got pushed to online education, we had to come up with, what are we going to do now? So basically, I wrote the paper and then shared my writing process with my students. And the result of that was in here. Originally, I actually had, I also write short stories and flash fiction. And originally I had a couple of those in here, but they didn't really fit with what I was doing, and I had it in there as kind of like a comedy break, like a comic relief break, Right. But I had a couple people read it ahead of time and said it didn't really fit. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put it in here because why not? I'll put that essay in here that I wrote instead, and because it fit with what I was doing, and it was written during the whole 2020, so it fit not only the theme of the book, but it fit the theme of my life and why I was doing this in the first place. So I went ahead and decided to add that. So the writing process for that was very different than the writing process for everything else that's in the book, because everything else in the book, like all the tankas and the haikus, tankas, and senryus, which are all what ended up on the CD, those were all the result of an online writing prompt, which was 30 by 30, which was write 30 poems in 30 days like everyone else was doing.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, and the person who introduced me to that was Paul Conqueso, who's fucking amazingly brilliant. Find Paul Conqueso on Instagram and Facebook. That dude is amazing. I met him through the New Eurekan online poetry family. And so he introduced me to the 30 by 30, which I did. And everyone on these online open mics is all into like haikus and tankas and senryus. So I decided I'm going to do mine. My 30 and 30 was going to be all that. So that's how those poems ended up in here. The other poems were all just basically either prompts from Wednesday Night Poetry or the Poetry Kingdom, or just shit I had to get out. And the writing process for me, and when I teach, it's very important to remember that writing poetry and songs, the first step is just get that shit out. Don't think about words, don't think about language, don't think about pacing, just get it out. Get it out on paper, record it, whatever, just get it out. Then the craft part is going back and choosing which words fit best. Like there's stuff on the CD that like I'm going to read a couple of the poems today that have been revised since the CD because I found better words. Because that's that's how the writing process works. So the first thing, just get that shit out and then go back and make it better. So I don't know if that really answers your question.
Oh yeah, definitely. It answers that question. It also answered my next question on the writing process.
Cool. Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, the writing process is definitely a twofold. I kind of view it as like ecstasy and anguish. You have
nice.
you have the ecstasy of being in like the flow and spitting it out, and then you have the anguish of the editing process.
Nice ecstasy and anguish, dude. That would be a great name for a book about the writing process.
Yeah.
Get to work on that, sir. Get to work on that.
So,
does anyone listening out there have any questions? If you do, just throw them in the comments. But go ahead, Magic.
Now, can you see the comments?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think so.
That's good because my eyesight is so terrible that I cannot. So, if you have questions, send them in, and Beowulf will hopefully see them because all I see is Beowulf's face and then Abler.
No worries, man. No worries. That just means the world's more beautiful for you, man.
Well,
you get to make it what you want.
That's true. Yeah, I get to totally disassociate from reality.
Which we could all use a little more of, to be honest.
Yeah, reality is reality can be pretty dire.
So, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
What I'm really curious about that, because like putting together my own collection of poetry is definitely something that I want to do, and self-publishing definitely seems like the way to go. What was that process like? Like, how were you able to put together? Was it like specifically through Amazon? How did that work?
It's Amazon. Amazon KDP Publishing. And Scooby in the comments mentioned Conscience Wilkshake and his worldwide online open mic on Friday nights on YouTube. He's taking a little hiatus right now because it's golf season. But he is amazing, and he's the one. He actually did it. He did it, and then he told me how to do it. And I mean, it's just, if you go to Amazon KDP or Kindle Publishing, it kind of walks you through it. I am, as I've stated a couple times, not very technology oriented. So I fortunately have friends who are, and they're the ones who help me with the actual meat and like bones of the like process. So I just kind of put the manuscript together. As far as how like I chose the order and stuff, I kind of drive other people crazy when it comes to like other musicians, other creators when they ask me things like this, because I do everything by feel. Like I don't really, and I like to tell people like, you know what, I may not be very skilled and I may not have a lot of knowledge about like what I'm doing or how I'm doing it. I just do what feels right. And then later people are like, oh, well, that's this educational theory, or that's the, and I'm like, okay, cool. Well, this feels right to me. So like, as far as how I set up the manuscript, I just set it up in a way that felt organic to me and felt real, and we have these innate processes in us, and they get dissected and torn apart by the scientific world and the academic world. And usually that's because, in my opinion, because those are people who don't feel. So they have to find a way, well, how did you make this happen? So They want to dissect it and tear it apart, and so I just kind of put together what felt right to me as far as how it worked. And and then you just put the manuscript up there, and like the cover, like they walk you through everything. There's templates for everything, which is sweet. I wish CD Baby and Bandcamp and all of them would fucking take a page out of this, and because it was so user friendly and so easy. It was awesome. The picture is actually, I took the picture in Rockford, Illinois, and I've had a few people comment on the cover, and I'm really, really proud of this cover, and I'm very happy that people commented about it because it turned out like exactly how I wanted it to. So that was pretty cool. So I mean, that's I recommend if you want to self-publish, do it, man. Like, and again, Conscience is the one who helped me find these places. But Bandcamp, if you're a musician or you want to do CDs, Bandcamp is a really awesome, easy way to do it because people can stream it for free, but then they can buy it directly from you if they want to, which is awesome. Right. Amazon thing is sweet. Like, you know, I have to pay for the printing costs, and then they take a percentage, and then I get whatever's left over. And consequently, I will be using the money that I make off of that to buy other people's books. And like, the book that the Poetry Kingdom put out, I still have not been able to afford that yet. So, but when I get my money from this, I'm going to buy that. And that's how this all works, is we continue to support each other. Because if poets and musicians and artists are not going to support each other, who the fuck is? You know? Yeah. And that's the thing is, you know, the mass marketing world, like, fuck all of you. I'm tired of people getting rich off of doing nothing but making rules to prevent us from doing it ourselves. So fuck you, I'm doing it myself. And that's just how that is. There's a quick question from Regina. I'm going to totally butcher this, man. Tempastas?
That's
Tempastas.
Just Brandy. That's Brandy.
Oh, right on. Okay. How do you memorize such long pieces and just rip them out so easily? How much do you practice? A lot. First of all, I have a weird memory. I don't understand how my memory works because I have the capacity to memorize scripts, songs, poems, things of that nature, but I can't remember where the fuck I put my keys. Like, I don't know why my memory works the way it does, you know, but I do practice a lot. And then it's nice because like that first poem I did, that poem is 20 years old. So I've been doing that for a while, you know, and I actually kind of shock myself sometimes that, like, there's a poem that I haven't done for years. I'll be able to remember it, you know. But I'll hit a spot if I don't remember, I'm done. Like, it's gone. You know. So it's just, yeah, it's practice and practice and practice. You know, and write it like you mean it, and read it like you wrote it. And that's the most important, I think.
I definitely, that's something I would like to be able to do as I, you know, push myself with more with spoken word, is to be able to memorize my shit, because having to like I got an app which is actually pretty good called Elegant Teleprompter, which scrolls the words in front of the screen while the camera is rolling. But still, I think there's being able to memorize your words would take it to just a completely other level. But I have the memory of a squirrel, even with my own poetry, and even with the words in front of me, I still like change shit on the fly.
Well, but that's the constant revision. Like I listened to a lot of Ani DeFranco, and I listened to a lot of live Ani DeFranco, live Grateful Dead, live, you know. So I hear these songs over time, and they do it all the time. Like, they'll change lyrics, they'll change how they play it, you know, because it's always evolving. That's the thing. It's always, you know, and that's why I love live music. You know, there are some bands though live that just shouldn't. There are some bands that should be studio bands, like Guns N' Roses. Don't bother singing them live ever. Like, Studio, amazing. Yes, there have been a couple other bands like that too, and sound is important. Whoever the sound man is, but that why I love live music so much is because you get the organic feel of the song. It's not how it was on the album. It's how it is now. Because yeah, like something you wrote 20 years ago may not be relevant now, but you still might like performing it. So if you need to change, if you're changing it while you go, man, that means it's real.
Yeah, absolutely. There's this one band. I gotta get my Canadian plug in. They're not around anymore because the lead singer sadly died of cancer. But the Tragically Hip.
Yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
and I've seen them live like multiple times, and Gordy, the lead singer, changed the lyrics so many times. It's like on the fly too. Like he's doing it on the fly. It's not like he's memorized different sets, and it's wild and crazy, and the energy of it. Because in the studio, especially as like a bigger band, it's like you're trying to nail it perfectly and doing little bits over and over and over and over again. But that live setting is just fucking energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And the energy that you're getting from the audience is fueling what's happening. So how you feel and what you have to say is gonna. And that's the thing. Going back to Brandy's question, it's not just about memorizing, but it's about, for lack of a better way, cliche, it's becoming one with your piece. It's getting to know your piece, getting to know why your piece exists, getting to know what it is that the piece is doing for you and why you're sharing it with other people. And once you get to that point, then you can do like that what the Tragically Hip did. It's because you become so well versed that this is not just a piece of work, this is your friend. So it's not just you're sharing your piece with the world, but you're having a conversation with yourself, and then having a conversation with the piece, and then having a conversation with all the people who are listening to it. So it becomes more like that, like it becomes a conversation, not just a performance.
Yeah, I love that. It's really interesting because when you're writing and editing, it's like this super intimate experience, and then when you're done with it and you expose it to the world, it's almost like it takes on this life of its own. And then to be able to perform it, you're kind of like, you're almost in like this new romantic relationship with it, where everything is new again.
Absolutely. And that is also the secret to relationships. If you keep them new, rediscover each other, man. Like that's,
Yep.
whether it be 1, 2, 3, however many people are involved in the relationship, and whatever, it's all good, man. Just make it new, make it, we are constantly evolving, or we should be at least. And if you want everything to stay the same all the time, you kind of need to ask yourself why. Like, what is it you're afraid to become?
Right. There's a beautiful fluidity to existence, and the synchronicity with the universe and all that kind of stuff, and you can't force it, or the universe will fuck you up.
See, and that's back to the writing process. The universe wrote this. I just edited it and revised it. And that's the point. Like, that's when you make yourself open to the universe and what's around you and the energy and the reality of things, and you open yourself up to let that speak through you, then you go back and edit and make it yours,
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's the biggest part of the writing process for me anyway, is making myself open and accessible to the energies that make this all. And that's why for a good 15 years I wasn't writing shit, because I was closed up. Because I was in a bad space, I was going down a bad road, and I was closed off, so none of this was happening, And I mean, I still was able to, again, if you go on my YouTube on Changeling Studios, you'll see I have various playlists. I have one playlist for Oso Lobo, which is my music. I have one playlist for Propaganda Poet, which is my poetry. I have one playlist for Bard of Wannabe, if you want to check that stuff out. I have one playlist for live sets, you know, when I do like the thing I did for Poetry Kingdom, both the book reading I did and the Majestic Mics. Both of those are on the live sets playlist. And then I have this other playlist that's Echoes from the Vault, I think I called it, or something like that. And that's all past projects that I was part of. Like Poetic Justice League is in there. There's another project in there called Forever Stardust, which is I did with a wonderfully beautiful, amazingly talented woman who was my partner for a while. And things went bad, and that was, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I was not in the best place then either, but I was still able to at least do something, you know.
Right.
And which was pretty cool, you know. But I was still closed off. So it wasn't really like I wasn't getting to the full potential of what things could have been because I was so closed off because of where I was.
Right.
Know? So it's opening up yourself to the universe, man.
I definitely feel that, you know, with my own writing process. Every time I finish a poem, I'm like, okay, cool, I feel good about this. And then I start another one, I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. But
that's the best. Just keep going. Keep going, man.
I like that sense because every time it's like, you know, a new journey, and it's like, you know, it starts out and it's an absolute colossal fucking mess. But I have absolute faith that me and the universe will, in this metaphysical dance, will figure it the fuck out somehow.
And that's the best part of the writing process is that, like, and you could, like, have this huge, awesome, amazing, you know, like this huge thing that you and the universe worked out. And there's one line in there that's really fantastic. And that becomes something else. And the original thing just gets scrapped. And that's fine. Because that was your way of getting to this thing that led to this thing. And that's the other part of it is, like, you can't, you have to be open. You just have to be open. You have to be open to evolution. You have to be open to what's going on. You have to be open to energy. And so many of us are closed off that's, you know, it's difficult. So, but we've been talking for a while, so I'm going to go ahead and throw some more poetry in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to bore the people out there with just talking. You know? If you are just getting here, I got a book. It's on Amazon. I have a CD. It's on Bandcamp. And then I'm going to do a couple pieces that are both in the book and on the CD. So the book is called 2020 D-Vision. The CD is called Haiku Tenka and Senryu Oh My. And here are a couple of the pieces off of that. This first one is called Complex PTSD Heredity. After your absence, and Brandy, I'm cheating. I'm reading this stuff here. Complex PTSD Heredity. After your absence, I was left inanimate before all went blank. Thousands of stories can be told by one picture. Nothing was added. Diaphoresis. Whenever I see you here, fight or flight takes hold. Father-son cycle. No one exists on purpose. Ghosts of past abuse. Inside the cocoon, the chrysalis is waiting. Metamorph or die. This is, the second one is called This is the American Way. Stop hoarding the air. Lungs and other luxuries will always exhale. Stray cats have their strut, and unicorns have their horns. People make me sad. Our flags have been at half-mast so long now, it has become our new norm. Congress spins big lies, leaving us nothing with a box of spiders. Why talk around it? This shit is falling apart. We must do something. This is called Time to Break the Mirror. Human existence is the greatest theater, so entertaining. Our visions of God reveal ourselves more than our visions of God. Karma is kicking our collective asses, but it's all our own fault. An honest to God message from God this last year. Message not received. Too many damn lists. Commandments, rights, soiled laundry. All we need is love. And I'm really getting into this like lately I've really been getting into smaller pieces that because I've been doing slam for so long and it's like 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes.
Right, right.
And I'm having a lot of fun with trying to pack as much as I can into as few. And haikus are a great way to practice that, you know. And that's the thing about forms. I'm not the biggest fan of forms, never have been. It's, you know, but forms are a great tool. Forms are a great way to practice. And sometimes you get some really amazing pieces out of forms, you know? So while I don't think, and that's one of the disconnects that I have with the page poet world. And that's why I decided to just publish myself, because I just kept getting all these rejections, you know. But like from you guys, from Wednesday Night Poetry, from, you know, the New Eurekan, from all these places, I keep getting encouraged and I keep getting support. And it's like, well, you know what? Fuck these hot, you know, boom, you know. And so, and again, I think that's part of, you know, the whole form thing is a way to turn the writing process into a formula, and that's not what it is. It's not a formula, you know. And the American education system especially has gone that way. With it's all about test prep. It's just a formula. Everything's a formula. And so, like, I get when I'm teaching college, I get these people who have been taught so wrong. They've been taught what to write, not how to write.
Yeah,
you know. And so it's so forms. So the point of that is that forms are fun, and you can play with them. And I suggest that you use them as because they're a nice tool and they're nice practice. And every now and again, you get some pretty awesome stuff out of it. So, you know, free form is awesome too, and it's probably the most accessible way to do poetry. But, you know, don't forget to do that too. So
yeah, absolutely. It can be. You know, I think, obviously, you know, do whatever you feel is best, but, you know, having a balance of different experiences and experimenting with writing is so crucial in evolving as an artist.
And again, evolution, man, evolution all the way. That should be the goal of every individual, because if that was, then we would all move forward. Let's see, I'm going to read something from the book, actually, about that exactly. My friend Jen said it best. The problem with peace is that it has to come from within first, and that's a lot harder than blaming and hating someone else. We can't take care of each other if we can't even take care of ourselves. You know, that's if we work on individual evolution, then eventually society will evolve. Whoa.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially now, you know, in this day and age of the kind of global hegemony of oppressive evil, I think really and truly that the way that you combat that as just you know, regular people, not regular in the sense of being normal, but regular in the sense of, you know, not having the political power, is to build tight knit communities, to lean on each other, and to be, you know, as independent together from all of those various systems.
I like that. Independent together. That's awesome. I like that a lot. That's sweet. I'll do some more stuff for you.
Awesome.
How about that?
Yeah, break out the guitar. Yeah.
I'll do some Oso Lobo stuff for you. I'm going to do this this is dedicated to Pride Month. I hate the month thing. So the first is a Tenka haiku that I'm writing specifically for the Pride prompt in one of my own open mics that I'm doing on Monday. So this is a Tenka haiku titled "Say It with Pride." My pronoun that one dude who just kicked your disrespectful ass, fucker. Okay. And this is a song that I wrote a million years ago. It's going to show how old I am. This is called Saturday Morning Programming, Controlled by Remote. Can you hear that okay?
Yep, I can hear it.
You are Barbie and I am G.I. Joe. I am strong and fast and you are much too slow. I know that you mean yes all the times you tell me no. Toys of war and you are easy bake. I am hard at work while you are house to make. You were born to nurture, so I guess I'll just sit on my ass and take. I am monster truck and you are minivan. I am out at bars while you are family plan. You know it's just my way and you ought to understand. Cause after all, you are makeup and I am erector set. I shall build the world and you can wash my sweat. I'll give you rings and things, but that's all you'll ever get. You are pink and I am blue. I guess that means I get to tell you just what to do. Yeah, fuck that noise. Pink and blue are so old school. We need to rebuild with a new set of tools. Saturday morning should have come with a warning. Gender rules were made for fools. Pink and blue are so old school. We need to rebuild with a new set of tools. Saturday morning should have come with a warning. Gender rules were made by fools. So that was forever ago. This was before we actually had conversations about gender roles and gender fluidity and the reality of fucking who we all are. So I was rebelling against that shit even then because fuck that, man. Like, but it's Saturday mornings, dude. Like the way like Saturday morning cartoons taught children. This is boy, this is girl. This is boy, this is girl. Like, fuck that, man. Like, fuck that. Because one time I was doing a show in Michigan, and I was in the bathroom, and this guy came in with his kid, and his kid, I love kids, man. I love kids. His kid goes, "Daddy, why does he have girl's hair?" And I just turned to them and I said, "Hey, do you play with action figures?" And he's like, "Well, yeah." I'm like, those are dolls, right? And it's okay, right? You can play with dolls and have one. You can wear makeup and dresses. And at that point, his dad took him out of the But it's like, I just one time when I was walking, so when I was doing the One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest thing, I had to get off book. So I took the weekend, I went to the beach, and I'm walking up and down the beach practicing my lines, right?
Right.
So now this is when I just started dreading my hair, so it was all over the place, right? And so I'm walking up and down the beach, just wearing a pair of shorts, and got my hair all over the place, talking to myself. Okay, so I go walking by, and this woman like pulls her child in close to her, right? And as I walk past, which happens way more often in my life than I care to really fucking talk about. Because, you know, these parents who do that, you're fucking idiots. Because it's probably your brother, your uncle, or the local cop or the local priest who's fucking the problem. But anyway, so she pulls her kid in closer to me, and as I walk by, I hear her daughter say, "But mommy, he looks just like Jesus."
Mm.
And I just looked at the little girl and I said, "Bless you, my child." And her mom, the look on her mom's face, and I was like, "Yes, thank you, universe, yes." Like we're so, I don't know. It makes for great writing. So thank you, all you people who are all fucked up like that, because you give me plenty to fucking talk about.
Absolutely. Damn.
So this has been like an hour and a half almost already. I don't want to like take up all the time. I mean, I don't know if you have a program or how you're doing this or whatnot, but
the time has flown. I absolutely have no schedule of anything.
Technically, I'm working. I'm online, but I'm like, so I mean, I'm getting paid to do this, which is sweet. So I got like 2 more hours, man. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do this till y'all tell me to stop doing it. Is really what it comes down
to. I'm curious because, like, you know, obviously the book is entitled 2020 Division. Go out and fucking get it. But I'm really super curious about your thoughts about like everything that's happened to all of us and all the craziness in the last year, and not just the negatives, but also like the positives that have come from it.
Well, you know, it's like I said, a year ago, I wanted to kill myself, dude. Like, and it's things like, and this, all of this Zoom, all of this online performing, all of this, I mean, yes, it was there, but it would not have exploded the way it has. And that has been, I think, the best part of all of this, and the part that really makes everything amazing is that we have seen so much of the worst of humanity in the last year and a half, but we've also seen some of the best, you know, like one of the things that I talk about in my book is that, you know, it's the people that make America and the world great. It's the people like you investing your time and your day in doing this, you know, Lucy and Brandy and Lisa and everyone who dedicates their time and energy to creating these spaces, and you know, people like Scooby, who's like constantly hooking people up with other people and like making he's part of like all these different communities, and he's constantly getting everyone in touch with each other and trying to make these communities grow. And like, this has been, I think, you know, it's out of the ashes, the phoenix will always rise, man. Like, and even when the comet comes, and God, I hope it comes soon, and just out, whatever comes next is going to be even better. You know, like that's the glory of it all. That's you know, speaking of which, are you a Trekkie? Do we have any Trekkies out there?
Oh yeah, definitely dig the sci-fi.
What's the first thing that Klingon said when he walked into a public bathroom on Earth?
What's that?
Glory! Glory to you and your hole. Okay, so it's amazing how, I mean, the bad is obvious. I mean, but the thing that's awesome about technology in the world we live in is that this fucking evil has always been here. It's not like this is a new thing. This evil has been here for 10,000 years. You know, there has been this overwhelming blob of evil that has been taking all the good in all the places and trying to take it over and do whatever, blah, blah, blah. But now, because we have this, we can be like, no, this shit's true. See this dude with his fucking knee on this guy's neck? He's killing him in public, in front of everyone. No, that we can't do this.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for that brave person who filmed the whole thing, even though they probably, like, I can't even imagine what happened to that person, but
Mm.
because that person had the bravery to do that, the world saw the reality again. And again, it's nothing new. It's like we saw this shit before with Rodney King. We saw this shit before. Like, this shit's been going on. But now, instead of just getting the edited news, we can get the picture. We can see what's really happening. We can see, and in real time. It's like, hey, the Supreme Court just made this total bullshit rule. This state is trying to pass this bullshit fucking thing. And you know, before we would just get the news about it afterwards, you know. But now, and that's another thing that this, you know, the what you said, it's being individual but together, like being
Right.
apart from all the shit, but being together in that means of being apart from that. And that's how there's back when I was in Southern California doing this, there were a couple of amazing poets, Ghetto Spear and Manchild, and they did a collab piece. And one of the things they said, it was amazing. Apart, we're at a standstill, but together, we're a movement.
Mm.
And now, because of the way things are, because of technology and the way that things have been pushed towards this technology world, because of the last year and a half, now we can be a global movement with people. I would have never fucking met you otherwise.
Oh yeah.
I would have never, like, I'm doing poetry with people from India and fucking Tasmania. That shit never would have happened without this, you know? And so, you know, it's I don't want to underscore the great things that humanity is doing, because I do tend to focus on the shit.
Right.
You know? And that's something, actually, my writing has evolved to that. Like, it used to be just the bad shit, you know, but, you know, I'm starting to recognize that there's more to it than that, you know. And so, but it's always been there. And actually, Brandy requested bongos, and I'll do this piece with bongos that actually addresses that exact thing. Like, this is nothing new, you know. So in those wretched countries where a man cannot call this is called quotarian, is the name of this. In those wretched countries where a man cannot call his tongue his own, he can scarce call anything his own. For whosoever wishes to overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin so by subduing the freedom of speech. Benjamin Franklin said that. And that is why I am one single confused poet in desperate need of a quotarian, as America's train of thoughts becomes just a bunch of empty boxcars that Willie wouldn't even ride. So I'm forced to hide inside my rhymes. So I'm forced to hide my treasons inside my rhymes. But every time I get up on stage, my rage, well, it's just a pretty show. Because you already know everything about to come out my mouth, man. You've heard this all before. A wise man speaks because he has something to say. A fool because he must say something. Plato. So what can I say that ain't already been said? Man, I got nothing in my head. Nothing but a bunch of cheap TV episodes and rehashed song lyrics that I use to try to confuse and abuse. Man, I ain't got no magic left. I'm just a victim of self-destructive theft. Many speak of changing the world, but few speak of changing themselves. Leo Tolstoy. So what can I say that ain't already been said? But I got all these thoughts shooting through my head. Shooting stars, one and all, I'm sure. But are they really pure? Are they really the cure? Can I truly say that I am spitting the truth when I'm relearning old lessons about myself each and every day? He who knows others is learned. He who knows himself is wise. Lao Tzu. So what can I say that ain't already been said? But I got all these voices in my head that won't let me stop writing until I right all the wrongs that lead to all the songs that make heroes out of killers and fashion out of shackle thongs. Man, we done gone and forgot that whole concept of divide and conquer, like black buffalo soldiers slaughtering the savage red man, when they really should have just taken the time to extend a hand and maybe even try to understand each other. Maybe then our motherland wouldn't have left us all just a bunch of bastards. I can sum up everything that I have learned about life in 3 words. It goes on. Robert Frost. So while teachers were telling me that what I do is in poetry, well, I was finding my rhymes of a different kind. Because it just kept echoing in my mind. Man, the reasons are clear. The truth everyone fears. Like Chuck D once said, the crowd's so near, but you still don't hear. So what can I say that ain't already been said? Well, I intend to beat this horse because it's dead, man. It's time we all just wake the fuck up before we all just break the fuck up. And if I'm just repeating myself so much that y'all just feel like them from the neck up, fine. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, I hate quotations. Tell me what you know.
That was fucking killer. Oh my God, I love that. I love the mixture of the quotes in between the poetry and the fucking rhythm and I fucking love the bongos there. That's just fucking killer. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. That going back to the writing process, that was a poem that I hated when I wrote it. I hated that poem when I wrote it because it didn't have the quotes in it. And when I wrote it as a slam piece and it wasn't working and I didn't really like it. But I took it to Poetic Justice League for America, which is the group that I was in at the time. And they were like, well, what if we add quotes? I'm like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, and then so they came up with the idea to add the quotes. And I just, now that I'm not part of that group anymore, I just kind of took the quotes with me when I do the piece. And if you go on YouTube, if you go to Changeling Studios on YouTube, you'll see the original performance of that piece with the whole shebang of Poetic Justice. They were amazing. Poetic Justice League for America was myself on drums, guitar, and poetry. Deborah Jo Howard, who is currently in Florida, she's fucking brilliant. She sang, did poetry. Elias Soria, he is still up in Rockford by me. He was a bilingual poet, Spanish and English. And Chris Kramer, one of the most amazing bass players I've ever played with. He teaches philosophy. He's out in San Diego, back out in San Diego now. So if you get a chance to check out Changeling Studios on YouTube, if you click on the From the Vault of Echoes playlist, you'll see Poetic Justice League for America. It's like a 20-minute performance that we have on there. And that piece is one of them. So
do it up.
But yeah, it's like you never know the writing process, man. You never know where it's going to lead you. You never know, just keep working on it. If you have something you don't like, take one piece, one word from it, one line from it, or when you share it with someone else, they'll add something to it. Turns into an awesome collab piece. It's so never ever 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 stop. That's the important thing. Like and I know this is hard sometimes, and I know it's kind of actually hypocritical because I went through like a 10, 15 year phase of not writing anything because I fucking just hated life. But, just like I said, I at least was still doing like the Forever Stardust stuff. I was still doing something.
Yeah.
Something, and that actually, because I started doing covers, I kind of morphed into, so I have my originals, but I also have these covers that I'm working on a CD right now of those. That's going to be called Re-Envision Revisions. Old Songs Never Die. And they're kind of like my version of the songs. And since I'm talking about it, I'll play you one.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll tell you what. We're going to do this. We're going to have some fun. We're going to do this randomly. My screen is covered up. There we go. Pick a number. Once I open this up, projects, old songs. Pick a number 1 through 13.
3.
No justice, no peace. Oh, I should probably tune that up, huh? Humidity and guitars, they do not get along, man.
It's been
there we go.
Damn hot. Too damn hot.
There it is. No, heat is fine. It's the humidity that's the problem. I fucking love heat.
Yeah.
Summer is my time, man.
Oh, I hate it all. I'm Canadian. I just want the cold.
Yeah, you guys and your hockey. I get it, eh? Okay. So when I was bartending, back in like '98 or whatever, like Foster's Lager was the big thing, and they used to have this commercial that was Australian for beer, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
As serving it, I started. It's actually a product of Molson Golden. It's a product of Canada. It's not even Australian. Like, and so when I recognized that, and whenever someone ordered a Foster's, I would say Canadian for Australian for beer, eh? Okay, without further ado, this is going to be the third song on this CD. When it should be done maybe by the end of the summer, fall, something like that. This is called Rocket Launcher Pacifist. No justice, no peace. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer out some justice. If I had a bell, I'd ring some bells for freedom. If I had a song, actually, it'd probably go a little more something like this. You might recognize this. This is a Canadian golden boy right here. Here comes the helicopter for the second time today. And everybody's scattered and hopes it goes away. How many kids they've murdered, only God can say. If I had a rocket launcher, if I had a rocket launcher, if I had a rocket launcher, I'd make somebody pay. Don't believe in building walls, and I don't believe in hate, but I'm fucking tired of all of this propaganda covering up these tortured states. When survivors speak of fate, too sickening to relate. If I had a rocket launcher, if I had a rocket launcher, if I had a rocket launcher, I would retaliate. At the Rio Grande Detention Center, tens of thousands weep and wait just to fall down from starvation or some less humane fate. Why does the U.S. punish them just for trying to escape? If I had a rocket launcher, if I had a rocket launcher, if I had a rocket launcher, I would not hesitate. I need to sing for all the voiceless. At least I've gotta try. 'Cause every time I think about it now, water just drowns out my eyes. Since Situation desperate. And echoes of the victim's cry. Now, I swear to you, I'm not a violent man. I'm not. And I do believe in peace and love and hope and all that. I do. I really do. But right now, at this point in time, if I had a hammer, I'd bash some fucking skulls in and I'd knock some fucking teeth out all over the floor. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if I had a rocket launcher, if I had a rocket launcher, if I had a rocket launcher, some son of a bitch would die.
Oh my god, that was so fucking killer. Oh shit, man. Fucking rock and roll, man. I love the fucking energy of that. I love that. If I had a rocket launcher, all you fuckers would die. That was so fucking killer. I love that. And in Minecraft.
Yeah, in Minecraft. Yeah. I have a I think you know that's Bruce Cockburn, yes?
Yeah, I definitely recognize that.
He's fucking amazing, man. Oh my god.
Incredible.
I do that, and I do another one of his songs, Stolen Land. I do that on drums and sing. Bruce Cockburn's fucking amazing, man. And I saw a video of him like 80 years old in a library playing that song. I was like, yes! Oh my god! I want to be that.
Yeah,
that's my goal, man. I want to be that.
No doubt. Still got that fucking energy, man. Shit.
Oh, he's so amazing, man. The humidity is destroying this right now, man. Damn.
So as somebody who like is like so creative in so many different art forms, like how specifically is writing lyrics to music, like what is that experience like? How is that different than poetry? Because I have no idea, because I've never written any music in my entire life.
That's actually a really good question, and not something that I really think about, actually. It's the thing. So okay. So I must point out, and I like to, whenever I go to open mics that are specifically music open mics, that I get up and first thing I tell them is, just advanced warning, I'm a poet and a drummer, and this is neither a poet nor a drummer. So, and you know, I play guitar. I'm not a guitarist, and me and Zephyrine Moongarden, call her Z. That's the other person in Forever Stardust. She was always harping on me. No, you're a guitarist. I'm like, no. No. Like a guitarist can get up and like rip solos and like can like hear what you're here and play with you. I can't do that. Like just like I drive musicians crazy. Like I've had musicians try to teach me how to read music and I just can't. Like it doesn't stick. I don't understand it. Like, and it's not that, well, you can just learn it. It's like, no, that's like trying to tell a dyslexic person, oh, you can just learn how to read. No,
right.
Like there's, you know, or telling like someone with autism, like, oh, you can just learn how to process. No, like things are different. They work differently, you know? And reading music just doesn't stick. And like I'll be playing something, they'll be like, oh, is that in the key of C? I'm like, I got no fucking idea. I don't even know what that is. Like, you know, so when I'm doing music and doing lyrics and things like that, it's, again, just like with before, what I said, I do it all by feel. And the thing that's nice about poetry, and the thing that was really cool with Poetic Justice League, we did a lot of poetry with music. So what was cool about that is that since it was just me and one other person doing the music, and we were both really good at feeling music,
right,
we could make the music fit the poetry, and we tried several different musicians in that project, because that project was years long, had several different members before we finally ended up with what we ended up with. And other musicians just didn't understand, like, this is not about the music. This is about the poetry, and we want music to accompany it. And so that was a really cool process, to be able to work with a musician who understood there's not going to be timing here. We're going to go with how the poetry flows and what feels like in the poetry, and we're going to do the music to accent that, right?
Right.
Writing lyrics is the opposite of that. That's like, here's the music. Now I'm going to make this poetry fit the music.
Right.
Which is really cool, because when I do like that, because it's two different skill sets, and it's two different processes, and it's two different ways of approaching essentially the same thing, right?
Yeah,
because when you're doing poetry, you're kind of going to your own rhythm. You're going to the rhythm of the poetry, what the poetry is bringing out, the feel that you want out of the poetry. When you're doing music, the music is what feels, and then you're bringing the words to it. So it's two different ways of looking at the same thing, but in one, you're making things fit the words, whereas in the other thing, you're making the words fit the thing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's like
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like you know, what the focus is, what the imperative is, and then, you know, what the dominant factor is, and then, you know, making the other elements fit into that.
And in lyrics, syllables are fucking important. Syllables are so important. Like, in where you stress the syllables and how you stress the syllables. Like, for instance, let me try to remember what song I'm talking about here, because it's so I do a cover of a song by Free called "And Oh I Wept," right? And the two, I'm really bad at starting something in the middle of it, so give me 1 second. There's a line in it where it's time has come for me to leave this all behind. I never cared to be so unkind. When I first did that, and the way they do it, it's I never cared to be so unkind. But if you change it to I never cared to be so unkind, you give a different, it's connotation. It's all about connotation.
Yeah.
Because the words are the same. The denotation of the word is the same.
Yeah.
But the connotation, when I break it there, if I break it, I never cared to be so unkind, instead of I never cared to be so unkind. Like, two very different feelings.
Yeah, absolutely.
And both in and that's where they have a shared part of the process, because where you choose to break a line, or where you choose to break your syllable, even, has huge meaning. You know, it's in one of my haiku, senryu, blah blah blah. We call them haikus just because it's easier that way, but you know, those are people who know how forms work. There's haiku, which is about seasons and nature, and then there's tenka, which is about events or situations, and then senryus, which is about human nature.
Right.
So,
right.
just for ease, we'll call them haikus.
Yeah.
So one of the haikus that I had, and this changed from the book to the CD, and then after the CD, I changed it even again, because one word can change so much of what it means. In this poem, I'll just read the poem as is, and then I'll talk about what I mean.
Absolutely.
This poem's called Survival of the Fittest. To paint my childhood, crayons and other fictions felt necessary. Silence in my house, quiet before things breaking. Rhyme time, my retreat. First 10 years of life, a list of too many uns. Unsafe, unhappy. Growing up, Batman was always my hero, but the Joker felt real. One weaponized white privilege, the other became the system's victim. Dark waters adrift, chasm of currents drags me down this gorge-sized rift. May moon be my guide, contemplating on the new, even when waning. Mm-hmm. So that has now been revised like 5-6 times at least, right? And there's a couple places like originally it was silence in my house. What was it? Silence in my house, the time before breaking things, right? But when I put silence in my house, quiet before things breaking, it makes it much more ominous and much more the juxtaposition of the two words things and breaking. Instead of saying breaking things, and you say things breaking, then the emphasis is on breaking instead of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which changes the whole meaning, right? And then originally, it was "May Moon Be My Guide." What was the word I used? Actually, it's in the book.
Convenient.
Look at that. I got a book. Let's see, where is this? Survival of the Fittest is going to be in the first part. Yeah. So originally I said, "May moon be my guide, concentrating on the new." And then I changed it to contemplating on the new because much different meaning, much different connotation, right? Because if I'm concentrating on the new, it's just like I'm looking at it, I'm thinking about it. If I'm contemplating, I'm processing it, you know? And that's why, you know, word choice, syllable choice, that's super important, whether it be in music or in poetry, you know? But when you're writing, like I said, when you're writing lyrics for music, you also want to make the vocal patterns and the rhythm fit the music. Whereas when you're just doing the poetry, you can find your own rhythm and find your own, you know, way of how you want to get that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And another thing I've you know, I think we all we try to evolve as artists, but we also kind of like
hopefully.
We absolutely, we try to, like, I find myself, I rotate back and forth, cyclical between certain focuses. So I'll go through a period where like rhyme is like super fucking important, and then I'll go through periods where it's more free form, and then I'll go through periods where I'm like, I just want to be so fucking abstract and inexplicable. And then other periods where I want to be like super emotive. And like, you know, as you're talking about like grinding into the cadence and the meter of it, and you know, sometimes I get like obsessed when the line breaks are where the comma goes, you know, where, you know, I decide to put like a period or a comma within a stanza.
But you have to be, because that's what I mean when I say the part, and what you said earlier about, you know, ecstasy and anguish. You know, that's the anguish part, and you have to have it, because that's the part where when you let the universe come through you and you put this shit on paper or you record it or whatever, that's just getting it out there. Now you want to craft it and you want to put it, that's like the clay. Now you want to mold this clay and you want to get, and where you place that comma is huge, because it will make people, it forces the reader to do things, you know, and you want, especially if, you know, paper poetry, especially, you want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, because with spoken word poetry, you can just put that where you want.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. It's also cool, you know, but, and like in page poetry, ellipses, if you overuse them, fucking horrible. But if you use them adequately and correctly and in just the right spot, so much fucking power, you know?
Yeah.
And so you have to obsess over those things, you know? And rotating between things, like you said there, what's cool is now, instead of going through phases where you do that, go through one piece where you do that.
Right.
You know, and like, and then that's how you start figuring out your own voice and your own, and that's the thing. That's one of the reasons I think that people remember me, and that people, it's because I have my own style, I have my own voice, I have, when, and it's this, especially like when I was in the slam world, there's the slam poet, and we all know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I know all about it. Yeah.
And part of the reason I got out of slam is because it got to that point where the slam poet would get these huge scores, but their poem was about nothing. They just sounded really pretty. But the slam poet, you got 2 or 3 of them or 4 of them at every slam.
Right.
But when you get someone up there who does it with their own style and their own, like I was at a slam once, and this dude got up and did this piece about multiple personalities and did it in multiple voices. And I was like, holy shit, like, whoa. He put me there. He made me feel what it was like to, and like mid-sentence, he'd like, it was, did you ever see the movie Split?
Oh yeah, I love that movie. Yeah.
And then what was the follow-up to that?
Oh yeah, where they had all of them together.
Glass.
Yeah.
So in Glass, and spoiler alert, shut this off if you haven't seen it, you want to see it. But in Glass, when James McAvoy's character dies, he's dying, and he flips through all those personalities and like switches, like, holy fuck, man, like that. Never have I felt more what it was like to have multiple personalities than when that poet, or when James McAvoy did that performance, because it was so eloquent and so well done. And that guy, I remember one other poet from that night, and him, and that's it, because the rest of them were just slam poets.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's the thing, and it's about, and back to what you were saying. When you obsess over that comma, you obsess over that period, you obsess over that line break, you're creating your own voice, which is super important. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons why people are remembered. It's not just for the work they do, which is quality, awesome work, but it's their, like, when I hear Scooby, I know it's a Scooby poem immediately.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. I don't even, like, I can have my eyes closed, the screen can be off, but as soon as I hear it, I know it's Scooby, because he has his own style, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. My buddy Conscience, when it's a Conscience song, I know it right away, because it's he has his own voice, and it's not the slam poet. I'm not saying that like as it's a bad thing. It's just someone who hasn't found the voice yet, and they're mimicking what they see and what they hear, because that's what's cool and that's what gets applause and that's what gets points,
Yeah.
And if that's the vehicle through which you find your own voice, awesome, however you do it, but always strive to find your own voice.
Yeah, that is huge. And that's, just speaking personally, that's been like, a wild roller coaster ride of my own. I mean, I started out in high school. My first poem was like just, trying to impress a girl. I think that's how a lot of that shit starts.
That was all of our first poem,
right,
man. Even chicks, their first poem was to impress another girl. That's just how it works.
and it was
not that everything's binary, like it's all fluid.
Yeah, absolutely. And it impressed her into the arms of my best friend. and it was
Cyrano.
it was it was horrible, and it was bad, and it was basic, but it inspired a love in me. And then I read the poetry, specifically the poetry, not just the lyrics, of Jim Morrison, and that fucking blew my mind. And then for a while, I was like just an acolyte copycat of Jim Morrison, and then started to evolve my own voice. And I'm actually now writing a piece which I'm kind of trying to bring together that Jim Morrison vibe with my voice as it stands now, which is
nice.
super fun.
Just quick shameless plug. Someone yesterday actually compared my CD to Jim Morrison's poetry CD, and I was like, what? Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. I was like, damn, bro, nice.
Wow,
Thank you. Like
That's a
dude,
huge fucking compliment.
some of the comparisons I get sometimes are really humbling. Like it's nice to know. Like I said, when I was younger, I wanted to be a rock star. You know, that's I wanted to. I remember when I was like early '90s, I was in this band called NRG, and we played. It was all covers, but we were like local rock stars. Like we were playing out every weekend. Everyone knew us. I was again. This is younger me. Like I was with a different chick every time. Like it was that was rock star life. That's what I wanted, right? And there was one time we were sitting there in a hot tub. We had a show up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan at this casino, and they put us up for 2 nights. They had us play shows 2 nights in a row. We're sitting there in a hot tub drinking fucking Bloody Marys, having a great time, you know, whatnot, hanging out with chicks in bikinis. I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, this is the life I want. This is amazing, you know. But then as I grew older and I started doing this for me, not to be a rock star, but because I was listening to the universe and because I was letting myself evolve into what I'm becoming, I realized that if I get a handful of people who compare me to Jim Morrison or, you know, whatever, I'm going to take that as a way bigger success than playing to an arena of 30,000 people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because that makes me feel like I'm doing something right, you know. And some of the comparisons I've gotten, like I've been compared to Ani DeFranco. I've been Tenacious D is the one I get the most, actually. I'm not gonna lie, which I kind of appreciate, but I kind of don't because it's not the vibe I'm going for. But you know, it's cool. So, but I get Tenacious D a lot. I've gotten Lemmy. Someone compared me to Lemmy. Which
that's fucking awesome. Killer. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Ani DeFranco, someone called me the angry Bob Dylan. I was like, fuck yeah, I'll take that. You know, and just these comparisons that I've been getting. Someone said to me, what was it? He said, you know, Leonard Cohen was a poet. And then someone said, no one's going to listen to your poetry unless you put it to music. And he did. And now we all know who Leonard Cohen is. You know? And so like these comparisons that I'm getting, I'm like, well, fuck, man, right on, you know, like I'll, you know, and it's humbling, and it just makes me feel like even if I'm not getting to that rock star status that I wanted when I was in my early 20s, I'm succeeding and I'm getting there. So thank you, Tyler. Thank you for listening and hanging out for a couple hours. Appreciate it, man. So comment, he's got to go. So I thought I'd shout out to him.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for so long. That's killer. Yeah, it's all about, you know, in the end, it's all about the quality of the work, the focus of the work, the genuineness of the work, the energy of it more than anything else. You know, that's the rewarding part, and being able to, you know, have those kind of, you know, intimate connections with other people around your work is everything.
Absolutely. And when, you know, when I get, when there are all these other just amazing poets and artists out there and people that I respect and people I look up to, and those people are telling me and supporting me and like encouraging me to do what I do, that to me is way more important and way more completing as a person than getting chicks to serve me Bloody Marys in a hot tub in bikinis. Like, yeah, that was fun and cool, and that's what I thought I wanted when I was younger. But like to have someone like Kai Coggin or Billy Tuggle or, you know, these poets that I look up to and I think are amazing tell me that I'm amazing. Like I'm like, right on, man. Fucking right on. Like, you know, so.
Yeah, the love and the tightness of the community is like so important. Like we feed off one another because, you know, it can be very difficult at times. The struggle of of being an artist in this world, but we really do lean on each other. And like, that's something that, that we definitely strive for at the Poetry Kingdom, and something that, we're trying to, expand here on Instagram, is like, building that tight knit community and trying to spread that vibe of support.
Well, I am honored and privileged and proud to have been a part of this. So I thank you, all of you, for everything you do, man. But I suppose we should probably sign off at this point. It's been a couple hours. My voice is starting to go, so
yeah, my voice is starting to go too. This has been a fucking incredible experience. I've fucking loved this. This has been killer. This has been our first feature, and it's been an absolutely amazing experience talking with you. You are one of the coolest fucking dudes on the fucking planet, for sure. Everybody, this is such killer fucking amazing shit. So diverse, so fascinating, so deep. Get this fucking shit. Amazon 2020 Division Propaganda Poet. Get on this motherfucking shit.
I love that you had little sticky notes in it, like that.
Yeah.
It makes my heart and soul melt, sir. Like, really, thank you, Brandy. Thank you for supporting. Thank all of you for all you do, man. You guys have a wonderful day and have a wonderful life. Don't stop today. And I have no doubt we will be crossing each other's paths again soon.
We absolutely will. And thank you, everybody, for joining us here at the Poetry Kingdom. Stay tuned for more awesome poetic shit in various different forms. Thank you once again for this awesome experience. Signing off. All right, everybody. Have yourself an awesome blossom rest of the fucking day. Cheers.